raved on for another 10 minutes without realizing I'd run out of storage space on my phone, right? But you know, if you're having the burden of proof as small as a woman having an affair can go texting someone, then, oh God, I said so much. Okay, so you are setting up a corrupt system, right? So let's just say Morpheus, it's not a murder case, it's just a divorce court case. Is it admissible that rather than having herself in the bathtub, locked in the bathroom while she's recording an abusive Barry Morphew outside the door, is it enough that she just texts her friend and goes, oh, my husband was raging last night, you know, he's so cruel, he's manipulating the children? Or should it be that, yeah, she's recording, not using a spy pen to try and catch him having an affair, you know, basically paranoid about that because it's what she's doing. Is this what you really want? You've got an Attorney General who has worked in federal office under 2 presidents. He's a strategist. He knows how to think 20 steps ahead. He's 20 steps ahead of you. What's he protecting? He's protecting the insurance policy. He's protecting the public liability insurance premiums. He's protecting his staff. He's doing his job for the state of Colorado, and that means the administration. And he's protecting people that are just as ambitious as he is, okay? When you allow, so you've got a woman who they haven't proven she was financially controlled. Why? Well, she was in charge of the business finances. She had access to his money that at least came in through 1 or 2 portals. Indeed, maybe that she could siphon off into secret bank accounts that her lover had access to. Is that a woman that should be categorized as financially abused? She could move around. She could get spy pens. She had money that she could use that he didn't know what it was being used for, okay? A financially abused or a domestically abused woman, that they don't have it. Maybe, maybe this is just 2 people not getting on and not liking each other, or one not liking the other, right, and wanting to leave. She had mentally already left. She just hadn't physically done it, and she was plotting the way out. What do people do when they plot? Oh, how can I make this look good for me? Oh, he's abusive. He manipulates. If you have such a low burden of proof, if it's at such a low standard, you are opening up for people to be abusive of the system everywhere. It's already hard enough. Think about all those people going into court trying to just get a fair divorce so that someone gets the house, someone gets the money, and they share custody of the children. Bitter, twisted people won't let this happen. And rather than having recordings of, or maybe, you know, there's some films made about this as well. And there's some real life things that have happened as well. I wish I knew the name of that psychiatrist who was basically a narcissistic psychopath, and she was trying to make it as if the father of her twins was dangerous, lethal, manipulative, narcissistic, cruel, abusive to the children. And it was all lies. It was her. She was torturing him. She was being such an immoral bitch. And guess what happened? She killed them. And she tried to make it out as he killed him. She tried to frame him for murder, and she suicided. I called that one. I need to split up my Humanimals musings into different cases. So there are men that are getting abused, and they are starved, they are beaten, they are isolated, they are with the most cruel, awful women. This happens to men. This is humiliating, shameful, and it's even worse for them because society, you know, the man should be strong and in control and taking charge and not get abused. He's seen as weak and useless, and many of them suicide. Okay, and they might do that by having a car accident. So we need to think ahead. This is a political move. This is a move this is thinking ahead. You know, oh gosh, I've gone a bit more weird because I thought I was still recording a second part of this and I'd run out of time. And now I don't know what I've said again. But I feel like if it is just such a tiny burden, like if texts to someone, so if you've got, okay, an abusive person, they're not paying the bill on your phone. You mightn't even have the money to get a burner phone. Maybe a friend would buy you a burner phone. Well, in that case, the friend can say, I had to buy her a burner phone. The husband won't let her have any money, even for a phone. He's not paying the bill on her phone, etc. Right? Suzanne had free range of phone to use WhatsApp to speak to her lover, to do whatever she wanted. She bought a spy pen when Barry didn't know what she was spending money for. She had control of business accounts. She said to him, I'll even keep control of the finances. I'll keep doing your accounts for you. Is that a financially abused woman? So what's really going on here? And you've got to be so careful, because what's going to happen is now, if there's precedents, oh, look at the case Morphew, where it's someone texting someone about her friend, I don't want to be alone with him. I mean, maybe she didn't like that because he made her skin crawl. She was telling her lover, though, I'm still sleeping with him, I'm going to give him sex. She didn't, maybe she just didn't want him to rape her. Maybe she knew he wouldn't rape her, and if she didn't have sex with him to keep him happy, maybe he would have. But she doesn't say, if I don't, I'm in danger of him doing it more forcefully. She says, no, I'm his wife, I'm still going to fulfill my duties to that minimum, you know, to this degree. She could have said, yes, and I don't want him to touch me, and then he can go out and have affairs. She could have forced his hand, so to speak. She doesn't do that. So she's not being raped as such. She's not, you know, she's still having sex willingly as part of a plan. And so you know, so we need to be very careful. There is a reason she is on that list, and it's political. And don't be fooled. When, you know, he's worked under Obama, he's worked under Clinton at a federal level. This person knows how to strategize, he knows how to run circles. That's why he is the Attorney General. He is the person that is supposed to be upholding value systems in his state. But what is he really doing here? That is not a value. What value is he promoting there to? He's actually showing he can wield power. He is showing the power of his office, that he can put the name of a woman whose husband is, who hasn't been found. Suzanne Morphew has not been found. She's deceased for the purposes of a murder investigation, but it is an ongoing thing. The trial hasn't happened. Nothing has been found. and decided upon in a court of law. But he's basically saying, look how much power I have. And maybe he just didn't want this to be noticed, and it's for the fact of Barry Morphew is suing his staff, his administration, his DA, and that's that. And so it's some sort of safeguard for later that she's on this list already, right? I don't know. That's what I think. That's what I think. You've got the FBI, the CBI, the CCSO, how many hundreds of people involved in bringing Morphew to trial. So this is that, bringing a domestic violence case, and yet they haven't seemed to work hard to ensure that they have proven this escalating level of domestic violence. They've done nothing. Now, is Macy going to be called as a witness? Who are these 500 witnesses? Are some of them, is even one of them someone that can make a good case that Suzanne Morphew was victim of domestic abuse? Doesn't have to be physical violence. You know, someone being domestically abused, they are recording that person when they are drunk or in a rage. They are recording that person. Okay? They're not, you know, they are locking themselves in the bathroom, they're sleeping in the bathtub, and that's that. And if they can overcome shame to tell someone, they will. But if not, then they're going to be recording that if they've got their phone. If they're very, very abused and controlled, that they don't have a phone to record it on, but they might be able to think of something else. Maybe they remember the old tape cassette recorder in the garage. Maybe there is something that they kept from, you know, early in family life, maybe a DVD recorder and videotape, and maybe somehow they do that. They work on something. They don't have a spy pen. If they can buy a spy pen, they are using that to get some proof of abuse because they're trying to leave. They want to get a good ruling in a divorce case, and they're using that spy pen to prove abuse, not to try and catch the spouse doing what they are doing. You know, there's always that thing where you are paranoid your spouse is doing the same thing as you. Like if you're having an affair, it's proven, you know, you are more readily going to believe that your spouse is also having an affair, or your partner, you know. So yeah, that's just what I think. I think there's some sort of reason for it beyond come here, puppy, beyond you know, why not? I'm all for social justice, trust me, and why not campaign so that funding goes to help people escape, so that they've got somewhere to go, so they don't have to leave their pets. People won't leave, they won't leave their pets. So that they've got somewhere to go where animals are all right. Why is it up to charities to run these sort of things? How about that there is more funding so that organizations, apps, modes of contact, modes of communication are more freely available all around, so that people without fear can go without fear to get support for leaving, right? You know, if Suzanne is involved in domestic violence advocacy and support for people suffering abuse, she knew, I don't know, what does that tell her about her situation? And I think it shows that she would be aware of a few things. I don't know. I think it shows she'd be aware of a few things, and she wouldn't be using a spy pen to try and catch him having affairs. Yeah. And she would know that anyway. This is a mess, because I don't know now what I've repeated or what I've missed out. Doesn't really matter anyway, I guess. But yes, you know, campaign so that bullshit and jelly beans can't happen, so that people can't torture each other through the divorce courts, right? Just think about that. You know, courts are aware nowadays of who, sorry, my eye keeps running. Courts are aware now, more aware, that if someone is coming into court saying, I'm a victim of narcissistic abuse, they are more likely for their little ears to prick up, spidey senses to come on, and they will investigate more closely the person making the allegations, because it is generally that person. It is more often now that person is the one that is actually abusing the other. They're making the accusations, right? We know this. And they use everything at their fingertips that the law lets them get away with, right? And they use social justice and bleeding hearts and everything. They use and abuse the, you know, believe women, etc. And we should, but when it comes to legally, we've got to be very careful. Is a text burden of proof enough that someone is in a domestic abuse situation? No. No, it is not. So let's just say you've got this divorcing couple, or someone wanting to leave, they're wanting to divorce for 2 years. They are sending messages to a friend. Oh, last night was terrible. He's raging again, blah, blah, blah. He's drinking again. And it's all bullshit. Okay? Why wasn't it being recorded on a phone? Or why haven't they called? Why hasn't there been a police complaint report filed? Why hasn't something tangible happened? That's not proof. If you know, it's just not. Now, this isn't to say Suzanne Morphew wasn't in a situation where she fucking hated being around Barry, that he was manipulative, that he was awful. This is what happens in relationships when you want to leave them. You don't like them. Or sometimes you're just bored. Or sometimes you are being harmed, or you're just, you know, or you just fall out of love and you fall in love with someone else. Whatever it is, right? But, you know, it's not to say that Suzanne Morphew wasn't sometimes treated terribly. Who knows? But it could have been that if Barry Morphew has killed Suzanne, it has just been like that. Nothing premeditated about it. Look, I think he was emotionally abusive. But guess what? If this, let's say, Broomfield has nothing to do with her disappearance, I mean, and it's all to do with him punishing her for what? I don't know. If he didn't know about Libla and everything like that, right? But she has just been saying to things like, you know, I'm through with you, da-da-da. Well, he's going, okay, well, fine. Well, if you're through with me, why should I be around you on Mother's Day? You know, some men might react with, oh, shit, you know, I'm just going to bring her flowers, you know, but they might then bring flowers and give a gift and then go back to their old ways. Maybe Morphew was the type to go, oh, you're telling me that you don't want me? Fine, okay, well, be on your own. Or you're saying you want space? Here, have some space on Mother's Day. For all intents and purposes, Suzanne Morphew should have been happy that he was away on the Sunday. If she's already left her marriage emotionally, right? She wanted more time, more time, more time. She took a lot of opportunity to be not around him and on holiday with Jeff Libler instead. But because she could have emotionally already have left him 2 years ago. Who knows? 5 years ago. But she kept saying, I want more time. We don't, you know, he's always working, etc., etc. So then she's told him, I've got the shits. It's over, whatever. And he's gone, okay, well... and he's a punisher. And he's in Broomfield just relaxing and just being away from her because he's just being an asshole. I don't know. You don't know. And we haven't had the trial. We haven't seen if there's more evidence that prosecution are for some reason hiding. I mean, maybe there are some big guns to come out, right? I mean, this is going to be an explosive trial. Why can't you just wait for that to happen? I mean, I know it seems like a big bloody failure. DA Linda Stanley, I believe, was manipulated by maybe Spizzy, who was maybe manipulated by someone, right? Morphew's going to run. Get him now. I don't think he was running. I don't know. I don't think he was running. He may have been. But I don't think so. Anyway, that's enough. Yeah. Premeditation. I mean, look, I know there's a lot of people saying they know a lot about Morphew, all about his girlfriends and everything. Okay, well, these people are going to be part of this 500 witness group, are they, you know? And they're going to have proof beyond reasonable doubt, legally wise. So that might pay in, wouldn't it, to, you know, it's indisputable. Suzanne wasn't financially abused. Maybe financially manipulated in terms of what her money was used for, yes. But not to the degree that maybe to a standard that proves it's part of a domestic abuse situation. I don't know, because she had the means to leave. She could have not returned on some of those times, right? But this is all part of the tragedy. This is all part of the mindfuck of these types of cases. There's always this shit, if only, and then this beautiful person would be alive. She would be there for her children she loved and valued dearly, who probably she put so much consideration on in terms of what decisions she did make. You know, she raised those girls. And if, you know, Barry was so absent, you know, Suzanne has raised those girls. I don't think Suzanne wanted to go back to Indiana. I don't think she wanted to go and be around her family. I think she was trying to heal with the Al-Anon. Emily, as we've discussed, made a video about where is her sponsor. Is her sponsor one of these 500 witnesses? Well, that would be something, right? But would they say, I mean, what are the rules here? You know how you've got, I don't think you have privacy anymore, do you, in certain instances where all your records in America for GPs and psychologists and things, right, open up. So maybe under such a informal situation, this person is really obliged to be a witness and to tell. I feel like then maybe so Suzanne didn't have a sponsor, you know. I don't know. Maybe she did not have a sponsor. But that was to work through the sins of the father, you know. It was to work through the suffering of being the child of an alcoholic, and indeed being, just in my opinion, observing, you know, everyone ages differently, but you know what an alcoholic looks like when they're in their 50s and 60s, when they look like a ghoul with zero muscle tone and a huge gut and disgusting red skin with huge pores. And you know, and this isn't just genetics, this is lifestyle showing. Yeah, don't think Jean was the only one, right, in the family. And I don't think Suzanne wanted to go back to her family, and indeed she got grossly rejected when she did try to reach out. Now, was this just another manipulative text a la what might have been sent to Sheila? And don't take that as disparaging, because good people do bad things, or do, you know, they do things. No one's perfect, and good people aren't perfect, right? Lovable people aren't perfect, wonderful people aren't perfect, and they're doing what they're thinking they can do to get by. You know, we can't even judge. We can't judge an affair, right? I guess, you know, because everyone's morals are different, but we're looking here at human values and our value system that builds the legal system that we all have to be able to trust. Speaking of trust, the Obama administration that Phil Weiser was working in, he was in the Antitrust Commission. So yeah, where do we draw these lines, you know? I don't think Suzanne wanted to go back to Indiana. I don't know what she wanted to do, but I have a feeling from what was said, she wanted to just live in Salida, finish being there, you know, raise her daughters, see them blossom out to head up the start of their adult lives, to be there to guide and to enjoy that, and to maybe strengthen their relationships again, to heal relationships. And you know, maybe she really knew that Libla was just a tool, right? I don't mean like that in slang terms, but you know, she knew that they weren't going to be together. They're not going to Ecuador. They enjoyed the fantasy. It was fantasy. And he was serving a purpose, and maybe she just looked forward, you know, I think she just wanted to look forward to the rest of her life, and that has been taken away from her somehow by someone in some manner that no doubt was incredibly heinous, and it does need to be solved. And I know that lots of people feel like they've solved this mystery and that they just need to be able to prove it, or that they feel like even they could prove it. The FBI should be able to prove it. I think they thought they were going to be making an arrest, or that they were going to force someone's hand when they sent, you know, that big message of 6 McDo, not 5, you know, 6 female FBI officers into town, into Maysville, and it didn't happen. But remember how excited we all about that. We thought, yes, they have done it. They've done it. And he's going to be arrested, and it didn't happen. So, I don't know. Do you feel like they've just stopped working on it? I don't know. And there's so much white noise now and distraction now. And why take up administrative time? Why take up man hours and resources writing letters about certain things, you know, should be complaining that there is a tactic here using Suzanne's name. It's abusive. That is abusive. To put her on that list like that, she's just being used. She's a tool for them. They are thinking ahead to next year or whenever, when Morphew is running his case against them for defamation. They're thinking ahead. I don't know. That's just what I feel. I know nothing. I'm uneducated in these things. It's all just going by just... I know this is going to piss so many people off, and I don't want to be disrespectful, and I don't want you to think that I don't care about advocacy and social justice, because those are exactly the things that I am passionate about. Those are exactly the things that I care about. I have been the victim of gross and heinous psychological abuse and of all types, and suffered for it for decades afterwards. It takes a long time to get over, no matter what else happens in your life. You don't forget it. I do give a shit, and I think, you know, you got to pick the right battles. Is the right battle here? You know, if the FBI hasn't proved, I mean, they haven't proven it. And too many good arguments can be made against it. Now, this might be just fucking unfortunate and unfair to a woman that has disappeared off the face of the planet and whose husband is up for her murder and who very well may have murdered her. This could just be really sucky. But you know, if you're talking about, we've got to think about what this will set up for the future. Yes, you do. Because what it sets up for the future is abuse of a system by people that are manipulating and abusing someone who isn't abusive. It's setting up for gaslighting and narcissistic abuse to fly through the courts against innocent victims. This is what I so strongly believe this, because it happens already with the levels of proof that we've got. People are coaching children, they are lying to workmates, they are giving themselves bruises, and right, there's all sorts of stuff, and we need to be so careful. And sadly, you know, sadly, this means sometimes it seems like justice isn't served. So what we need is better resources used better in society, where people can access services when they are victim to all sorts of abuse, the gaslighting, the manipulation, or domestic violence, domestic financial abuse and things like this, when people are playing silly buggers by using their children against them, kidnapping their children, not giving the children back quickly enough, or whatever, you know, so that there is better